Hi, everybody. This is Reza.
This is Sandy.
Welcome back to episode 55 of the Stone Cold Sober podcast.
Happy New Year. It's
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah, man.
It seems like winter has finally come.
It took a solid, I guess, month longer than I expected, but it seems to be here in full swing.
It is frigid outside, and I wouldn't know because I haven't been outside today.
Neither have I.
We went too hard last night with video games.
Oh man, it was so late. It was so late.
It was funny because we had a solid session from 4 p.m. because I got home back to New York yesterday.
Yeah.
And about an hour later, after I took care of some bills and some stuff, I go, "It's time to ride." And you were right there ready. And
Always.
we played for a solid session, like a 3-hour session.
Something like
And
that.
then you guys went off to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
And then I played some board games with my roommate and his girlfriend. And then it's like 11 o'clock. And I hit you up. I go, all right, we're going again. And I didn't think that we were going to go as hard as we did for as long as we did. But I don't think we signed off until 3 o'clock in the morning.
It was later than that. It was supposed to be 3, and it was like 3:30, I think. Got my first prestige done though.
It might have been. It absolutely might have been.
Yeah. But yeah, happy New Year to everybody. It should be a really exciting year. How did you feel at the end of 2015? Do you feel like you got everything done that you wanted to get done? Do you wish you did a little bit more?
I definitely accomplished a good bit, but I know that there's always things that I wish I could have done more of or done better of. That's for sure.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, if we do macro breakouts of personal and professional. I mean, professional was a crazy year, right?
Yeah.
Started out at American Express working on a product, and then ended 2015 at FanDuel working on another product, like on a separate product.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big jump, and that was a big win for me. Personal wise, if we break that out between like personal, and then personal relationship stuff, personal was pretty good because worked out a lot more, ate more healthily, I guess, had a healthier
Yeah.
diet and regimen, worked out a lot more than I did in 2014, and started cooking a lot,
Good.
which, through the gift of Blue Apron, whether or not you call it cooking, or just build, sort of gourmet Legos. It was fun to learn how to cook a lot of new products and get more comfortable with ingredients.
Yeah.
But with relationships, I mean, you fell out of touch with people, you fell in touch, and you got closer with other people. And I guess it's always just the Venn diagram of your relationships always shifts year on year, right?
Yeah.
And it's on you to decide whether or not the people that are in their current placement or position is where you want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
One of my New Year's resolutions this year was to not fall off the map with certain people. And I sent that to a friend, and she goes, "Well, I don't know about that one." And I go, "Well, maybe for certain people, because I guess you can't just reintroduce yourself into people's lives across the board, right?
Right.
Because it's sort of a two-way street. You haven't heard from them, they haven't heard from you. It's up to both parties, I think, to want to cultivate something. And I'm definitely doing my best or level best, or giving it the old college try, to try and stay connected with the people that are important to me in my life.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah. I think 2016 will be, if I can maintain that professional trajectory of keep going up, that'll be fine. That'll be awesome. I think the biggest thing, and my parents would love to hear this, is to potentially see if there's somebody out there to be in a relationship with. I know it's not one of those things where you go to the terminal and and two people meet up and go, "You want to do this?" Sure. Um, but maybe it's just putting myself out there more in 2016.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Who
that's good.
knows? Yeah, I think
Options
from a
and um, yeah, like building a relationship. It's such a weird thing, or it's such a hard thing. I say weird thing maybe because the way I've always found myself, the way I've ended up in relationships in my history, in my past. I've
mhm.
never like been like, hey, I'm actively going out and I want to find something. Like I've never been like, okay, I'm dating to find a girlfriend. It just kind of so happens that I end up hanging out with somebody. We just kind of hit it off, and that might become my girlfriend at that point. That's just the
Yeah,
way it's always been for me.
yeah, and I think it's gonna for me it's gonna be a balance between, and I hate to use this sort of description, but I don't know, it makes sense to me. It's like finding car keys. Um, Whenever I used to lose my car keys, I would just turn the house over. I would never find it, and then the second I stopped thinking about it for a minute, it would just pop out.
Hmm.
And I think there's been potentially on my side just overthinking it and overdoing it and wanting to be with someone just to be with them and not realizing that that's probably not the best way to create or start a relationship with somebody. Um, Maybe it's about making sure if you guys gel well together or find it interesting enough to want to be with each other for longer than a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try and figure out where on the dial I need to put my efforts, like how to calibrate that.
Right.
And I'm still on all these ridiculous dating apps. Um, oh, did I? I think I told you this. I want to say like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. What happened was I bought the premium version to OkCupid. Did I tell you about that? It
I don't.
was
Yeah, I think you did. I'm sitting there thinking when you told me about you were thinking about the premium version of LinkedIn. Two very different apps.
Yeah. So, to everybody out there, the premium version of LinkedIn is actually super worth it. You can see a lot more information with each of your searches. You can visit people's profiles and not really, leave that digital trail. I guess you can do that in the basic version, but the premium version of LinkedIn just super outclasses the standard version of LinkedIn. And it's one of those rare apps where the paywall, like you want to be on the opposite side of the paywall.
Yeah.
Now with OkCupid, what had happened was I woke up at like 4 in the morning, and for some reason I decided, you know what, let me just check my email real quick. And I was looking around, and then I was just like popped open OkCupid because somebody sent me a message, and the first thing I get hit with is, "Hey, do you want to spend this amount of money on the I guess the pro version, right, of OkCupid?"
Hmm.
And I go, "No," but then I kept looking at it. I go, "Well, maybe." And then uh, it was like, okay, you can either pay for I think it was like a day, or like maybe like a week, a month, or 6 months. And I'm looking at the prices, and I go, "What? Well, fuck, the 6 month version is the cheapest version out of all of this."
Right.
So now I have 6 months of OkCupid Pro, um, which is interesting because it gives you a lot more filters. Uh,
Okay.
for example, body type, attractiveness, all of a sudden starts to come into play.
Yeah.
Um, I can't tell you that it has been like a night and day difference. I can just tell you that that was the craziest, I guess, uh, irrational spend that I've done recently.
Irrational. I love irrational spending. It's great.
Oh, irrational spending is the best. It's
Yeah.
just I didn't think that I would be spending it on OkCupid nonsense.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's fun though. Um, it's fun to just like check around, but I guarantee you this: when the 6 months comes up, there's no way I'm renewing it. And I guess the interesting thing is you ask yourself, because I don't. I mean, you probably don't know this, but I've got OkCupid, Tinder, Hinge, Coffee Meets Bagel, Bumble, and The League all on my phone. All those there's like 6 different dating apps,
So
and
many.
I'm wondering. It is a lot. It is a lot. And it's fun to just sort of scroll through because you're quote unquote connecting with people at an arm's length. I'm just wondering if it's just a healthy thing to continue to be on these things.
I see.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's kind of an interesting point that you say that. I'm kind of just thinking about that, and that whether it's a healthy thing to, whether it's healthy to be on all those dating apps. I wonder if anyone's ever really thought about that. Like, I guess obviously someone has to, but like, what does that do to a person when you have so much access? You have this access to all these different peoples, and when so I guess the way I kind of think about it, like, do you ever watch that show on MTV called Next? It was a dating show.
Yes.
It came on all the
Yes.
time, like
That
after
was a
school.
great show.
And so the premise of Next, this show, basically there was one person who was who. So there was one person and there were five people, right? So these five people, I think it was five, four or five people, whatever it was, on a bus, and none of these people knew each other. So you get on this bus, and the first person gets called out to go out on a date with this other person. So if it's, this person's a guy, then there would be five girls on the bus, or vice versa. And so this person would get off the bus and go on a date with this other person, right? And I want to say there were like three different destinations they could go to, and if you got off the bus and you didn't look right, like you weren't like, groundbreakingly beautiful, or you're hanging out and you say something that you don't like, the person that everyone's trying to win will just say next, and that person will then have to go back on the bus and send the next person online out. And the premise of the show is
And just
basically,
and before you continue, there's been some hilarious moments in that show where a guy or a girl will walk off the bus
yeah,
and instantly the guy goes or girl goes next,
yeah.
and it's just that's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I also remember now that there was the people that were on the dates. If you were a bus person, you would get $1 per minute that you were on a date. You were on the date with the person,
That's right.
and at the very end, if that person chose to go out on like a second date with you, they could either take the money and leave, or they can go out on the second date with you and leave the money.
And
Um,
people have definitely taken the
yeah,
money.
there are people that would take the money. Like, it would be like $50. They would take the money. And the thing is, the reason why I say like the dating world kind of reminds me of this is because there are so many different people. It's almost like you have your own bus, but it's filled with infinite people. And if you decide that you want to stay with somebody, then that means you're not going to be able to see who else is on that bus, like who else is out there, if there's anybody better. The only thing is, as soon as if you decide that you want to see what else is out there, you can end up leaving something really great behind.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that did happen a lot on the show, where people were really hitting it off. That person was the first one on the bus, and they would say, "You know what? I really do like you, but I'm really curious about who else is on that bus, so I'm gonna have to say next." Um, but yeah, like I know I went on a bit of a tangent there, but in terms of like healthy, like, is dating these many people, or I guess you're not dating these many people, but like having all these different apps. I don't know. I mean, I remember. I just think it's funny whenever you're on Tinder all the time. You haven't really done it like you used to, but there was a time about a year or two ago where you would just be like Tindering real hard. And one of our friends, Justin, you guys were playing a game of Madden together, and he says like he's like, because he doesn't play like football games very much, and you were just like demolishing him. And meanwhile, when he's trying to like figure out the perfect play, you like pick your play and you just start Tindering. You start swiping left and right in between plays.
Yeah.
And he was saying how much he hates it. I don't think you really do it like that anymore, but he was so mad when that happened.
Yeah, it was it's funny. It's the there's some psychological bent to it where it's just really addictive to just swipe left and right. Uh Even on Bumble, which I kind of am on right now. What's interesting is you can, just swipe left to say no, swipe right to say yes, and have we just eschewed all any sense of trying to make some kind of connection with people?
Yeah.
It used to be I was talking about this over the break, and I was at this New Year's Eve party with my dad and his boss, and all of like these really awesome people. Call it a salon because everyone's in different things. And I was talking to this one guy who recently retired, and he was talking about what it's like to date right now because he's been married for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I go, it used to be that you'd go out, you'd meet somebody, you have a conversation, and you'd see if you could hit it off, and you want to see if you want to meet again. And he goes, yeah, that's how we did it. You go out, you'd be at some kind of place or thing, and you'd see somebody, you go up and you say something.
Hmm.
And he goes, yeah, you required people to be more forward. And nowadays, it seems like everyone gets to hide behind a screen and just make judgments on other people. But then you meet those same people in real life, and it's just a shell of who they might be in terms of whatever their digital brand is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I go, now it becomes not only that, but you have like 20 seconds, not even 20 seconds. You have 3 seconds. Like the pace at which I am swiping through people right now,
Yeah.
not even tapping on their name or
Just
information,
half a
not even
second.
it's half a second.
Yeah.
It's is a picture nice? Do you look nice? Do I like the other pictures that I'm seeing? And it's just boom, you're gone. And these are just people's lives that you're just sort of dismissing one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
I,
know. I wonder. I constantly wonder whether like Tinder or whatever those apps are, like if I would have used them had I not found Elena. Because before we started dating, those apps didn't exist yet. I don't even think I had a smartphone until we started dating. Like I got my first smartphone like a week before we went on our first date.
well, that was a good move. That was a good move. It was all coming up spades that week for you.
Hmm. But like I know
Yeah.
more and more people nowadays that have met their significant other on like eHarmony or OkCupid, different dating sites. Don't really know anybody that has like a significant other that they met on Tinder, but I feel
No,
like
I know people.
okay, you do. Okay, yeah. I just feel like with Tinder, the maybe the mindset of people is a little bit different. I just feel like if you're on OkCupid or like eHarmony or any of those other dating websites where you have to fill out these massive surveys to create a profile, people are just a lot more committed and they're in general looking for a relationship. Whereas Tinder's kind of just a thing that people do almost in their pastime nowadays. Um, and I wonder how many people actually, because again, I don't use it, but like I guess I'll ask you, like, how often do you actually have conversations with people nowadays when you match up with someone? And are they like
I
long
mean,
conversations? Because I feel like with the amount, if like the amount that you used to use it, at least you could have been having conversations with like 50 different women in a given day.
I had a lot of conversations going, and one of the girls that I met that we went on that black not that black well I guess the Afro Caribbean girl that I went
Uh
on
huh.
those dates with a while back. We met up on Tinder, and our conversation went way back. Like we were talking for like a month on Tinder because we kept traveling,
Yeah.
and we met up finally, and it was. I remember that being one of the longer conversations. Like there were dozens and dozens of messages going back and forth.
Yeah.
But there's other ones that are really, really short. Like you say something, the other person saying something, and then depending on what time of the day it is, you kind of just get right down to business. It's like, listen, we all know why we're on Tinder right now.
Yeah. Have you talked to
So
that girl recently, by the way?
no, no.
Okay.
Maybe she's just angry because the Eagles season is a dumpster fire, and she
You want
took
to
it
talk
out
about
on
football?
me.
All of our seasons are a dumpster fire. The Chargers, the Colts, the Eagles.
Yeah,
Everybody that I know that like really cares about a specific team, just or it's all over. It's just mayhem
it's all
this
over.
year.
2015 was a bad year for sports.
It was a rough
For us,
year
at least.
for
For us.
yeah. Um,
Um, what else? So yeah, I'm just wondering if. But you're right though with the eHarmony and the OkCupid. If you are s- answering a lot more questions,
mhm.
that it does seem like you are more committed to finding something that's a little bit more serious.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. I haven't gotten on eHarmony yet. Um, but maybe I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I always wondered what the difference is between the different sites. I guess it's just really who signs up for what, just nothing really. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, a couple of my friends. I know one girl that got married. She met her now husband on one of those sites. Don't know which one, but one of those sites. And then, um, one of my really good friends in college, he met his girlfriend on again, I think OkCupid actually. But
Really?
yeah, yeah. So I know a few people who've met their girlfriends or boyfriends or husbands or wives now on those sites. I think it's interesting. I think it's really useful because it's just a place where two people that are interested in looking for a relationship can kind of find each other where they otherwise wouldn't. Like I remember like talking about this with you remember Rodney Zoo? We would talk back in
Yeah.
high school sorry, when we were in college. We would chat on like AIM or whatever it was that we were using at the time, and he was just like, where do you meet girls anyway? Like, you hear people say that, you don't want to meet a girl at a bar, but where otherwise do you really meet someone if it's not in a class? Maybe like, you know, get-togethers, like, meet with some friends and they have people over, which is possible. But I remember hearing people say like, oh, at the grocery store or at the library or at the gym. And like for me, when I'm at those different places, the last thing I'm really looking to do is speak with somebody. So if somebody comes over and starts talking to me, not really going to respond well to that.
Right. Cause you're out there doing your thing right now. You're
Yeah,
running errands. You're not trying to engage.
yeah, exactly. I'm not, maybe a short, quick conversation, but I'm not. It's just a little weird. Like if I'm at the library, I'm studying. That's the worst place to speak to me. I'm either studying or I'm reading something or whatever. Like, no. The grocery store,
Just no.
it's
Just
just
no.
no. The gym, I'm getting my workout in. I'm usually pretty exhausted and just like, I'm so focused on my workout. Again, the gym is kind of like, a no. The grocery store is probably a little better, but you never know. You could just be in a rush.
Dude, how do you start a conversation with somebody at the grocery store?
I don't know. Like that's the thing. What do you do? Like looking at the canned food, I'm like, hey, you should probably try, the Heinz beans instead of, the other one, the Bushes or whatever. Like it's not, terrible conversation
Yeah.
starter. Terrible conversation starter. Clearly, I don't know what I'm doing because I haven't thought this through enough. But I'm sure there's a way to make it work.
Yeah, it's crazy to think. I mean, obviously people have done it before. One of the women that I used to work with, her now husband, they met on a plane,
Oh wow.
and he was sitting behind her, and at that point in her life, he was not her type at all. She was looking for like guys that were over like 6 foot, that were sports guys, that were broy, and then this, her now husband was none of those things. Definitely shorter than 6 foot, a little bit nerdy. Um, and when they got off the plane, he sort of not he followed her in a sense, to the cab stand, and they split a cab, struck up a conversation, and then they started going out, and now they're married for 5 years. Like, I guess, those types of meetings do happen. It's I think the reason why I bring that up is, not only are we trying to figure out who, rather where we're trying to meet people, but the types of people we think are good for us, because we all think that we have a type, right? It's like, oh, these are the types of girls or guys that I'm really interested in, but then you come to find out that a lot of people who had these types ended up falling for people that were drastically outside that criteria set.
Hmm.
And it's just, what's interesting to me is that people are the reason why I give that sort of why I acknowledge that is, people who, and it's a totally weird reason, but I liken it to people who accomplish a lot professionally, and a lot of it is because they took the roundabout way to get to where they are, and they never said no to new experiences. And I think that when we try and limit the types of people that we're looking or willing to meet with to a certain set of criteria, they have to be blonde, or they have to be brunette, they have to have a certain set of eyes, or long hair, short hair, and then you realize that, oh, you're you're using either the wrong criteria, or you're really limiting yourself with the criteria that you do have to something that is arguably a lot more important, personality, and whether or not they share the same values with you. And then you realize that you're really looking for not only just someone to have fun with, but someone to just share the rest of your life with, and that requires more than just how they look.
Absolutely.
And so I'm thinking, maybe maybe I need to be a little bit more open about, the types of girls that I think are my type.
Yeah, I hear you. I guess that's one thing I've always wondered about, or I thought was interesting about like Tinder as well, because you're really going just off those looks. And when you have a certain type, or if you say you have a specific type, then you just kind of brush other people away. There's a lot of missed opportunities.
Yeah.
Um, I remember, so I always tell this to Lane, and she gets mad whenever I bring it up. But one of our early like dates, like we got together really early in our relationship. Right, she came over to my place. I think I like picked up some Chinese food for us, and we're just watching TV. And she asked me, she's like, so what's your type? And I'm like, I don't really have a type. I don't like to. I don't like to sit there and discriminate and say that I'm not going to date somebody because they look this way or they don't look this way. Um, I think plenty of people of all sorts of races and sizes and different hair and eye color. I think they can be very attractive. So I don't really like to say that I have a specific type. And then she just went on this. She like kind of said, "No, I think this is your type." Like, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm with
What did she
you
say
right
your
now.
type was?
She said that she thought my type was white girls, and I'm like, I'm with you right now, right? Like, how is that my type? If I'm going out on a date with you, I'm committed to hanging out with you. I was just really frustrated. I'm like, so I told her, or this really did almost happen. I kind of wanted to tell her that maybe she should just leave or something like that,
Wow. Can you
Yeah.
imagine if you did?
It went on for a little bit. It was just like a really awkward conversation. I'm just like,
But
I don't
she's
know what
not
you're trying
wrong
to.
though, because you were pretty heavily into white girls, right?
Not really. Everyone. I've only been like 3 or 4 relationships in my life, and the majority of them have been with black girls. So it's
Oh,
not
okay.
necessarily true. And um, I was just annoyed. It's like, I don't know what you're trying to get at. I don't know what you're getting at with this conversation right now,
Right.
because I'm literally hanging out with you. I've already told you how I feel about you. So I don't even know why this is why this is in a conversation. Why you're trying to push it any more than you already have.
Yeah.
It was just weird.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, it was early, so I guess she's just trying to figure out like,
Super early.
yeah, if it's super early, then I guess we're
It
all just
was
trying
like
to
a
figure
week.
out
Yeah,
who we are. A
yeah.
week?
It was like maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks after we first dated. We went on our first date. So
Ah, so I mean, all bets are off, right? Everything's out in the open.
yeah. Everything's out in the yeah. And you know, I certainly would. Yeah, super early. It's not like if I told her that she should leave, it's not like I had to break up with her. We weren't at anything yet. We were just, people we'd gone out on a couple days with each other.
Yeah, and then
That was
that's
it.
it. Yeah.
So,
Oh man, it's funny that such an offhanded comment, and then your reaction to it could sort of result in something
yeah, yeah.
just
The only
massively
reason why I
changing the
didn't,
course of history.
the only reason why I didn't ask her to leave is just because I didn't have the courage to say it. I think I was
Okay.
like, I'm just gonna sit here and let this be awkward, and then that'll probably be it.
Yeah.
She'll go home. I probably will, well,
She'll go
I probably won't
home.
like call her,
You'll
text her,
start
anything
playing
for a bit.
duty. It'll all be good.
It'll all be good, and that'll be that. Move on
Yeah,
with my
and
life.
move
And
on
then
with
3
your
years from
life.
now, I'll download Tinder and I'll be swiping left and right with Sandy.
Yeah, but aren't you glad? Aren't you glad in that one moment you didn't say anything?
Yeah, yeah, very glad.
A little bit. Yeah, that's
So,
interesting.
I did want to ask you about your specific New Year's resolutions.
Specific New Year's
'Cause
resolutions. I do have a few. I don't know if I started 2015 with any specific New Year's resolutions, but this year I did.
okay,
First one, I want to save money. Now, not just in general, like, oh, don't spend money on dumb stuff because, where are we without spending money on dumb stuff? The idea this year is to save up to a certain amount of money. Now, I have a very specific number in mind,
mm-hmm.
and maybe like every month or so, I'll give a recap of just percentage wise how close I am to said goal.
Okay,
But I'm definitely trying to save a good amount of money. This was predicated on two things. One, whether or not I want to think about putting a down payment on a house by the time I'm 30.
okay. I thought you were about to say like now. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, no,
Back
no,
up
no,
for a
no, no.
minute.
Come on, come on, come on. the only relationship that I'm willing to get in 100% is with you on the B flag. But otherwise everything else is up in the air. Um,
Oh God.
the so I wanna have enough money saved away to potentially put a down payment on a house by the time I'm 30. Now I'm gonna be 20. I'm 20. What am I 26 right now? I think
You
yeah,
tell me. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, you're
I'm
26.
26. I got 3.5 years to make this shit work, right? And
Yeah.
so I need to start aggressively saving, and I need to be hitting these benchmarks. Now, the way that my savings works is there's a couple of feeds into it, right? There was the I'm consolidating all of my 401ks across previous companies. I just never did it.
Hmm.
I got to do that. I'm waiting for my Amex sort of paperwork to come in so I can set off the TD Ameritrade and consolidate all of that into an IRA fund. Ogilvy has been asking me to cash out my pension that I have with them, and I think I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I'm gonna do it. Well,
Uh,
so it's a.
how?
I'll tell you the
No, go
penalty.
ahead.
Yeah, I'll tell you the penalty.
Okay.
It's a $50,000 a year pension, or rather, I think it's just $50,000. Um,
Hmm.
paid out when I'm 55, which is like kind of
Really?
bullshit, right? Because it's not bullshit. I mean, it's great, but that money then won't be any use to me now if I can take a portion of that money and invest it to get it to more than that, right? If
Hmm.
I were to cash it out now, I would lose. I think it's like a 75% tax.
Ooh.
It's a lot, but
Yeah, that's a lot.
but like $15,000 or like $12,500 in my hands now
Hmm.
is a lot better than $50,000 in 30 years.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. And I think I would take that money and I would invest it in the stock market.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, just to basically invest it yourself, you can turn $50,000 into 50,000 yourself in that amount of time
yeah,
if you're smart with it.
right. And I think that so that's one bit. The other bit is I just opened up a 401k account with my current company because they said I was
Hmm.
eligible, so I did that. And I'm going to be putting money away in a dream in the that Barclays Dream account that we do.
Yep.
Definitely going to continue that, but I think I'm going to double my efforts every month. So I'm going to
Nice.
be saving twice as much. And I think I can hit it relatively easily if I just stay on track.
Yeah.
And the goal is to definitely reach this number. Excuse me, and I'll let you guys know at the end of the year what that number
Whether or not.
is and
Oh,
whether
all
or
right.
not I hit it. So that's a big goal for me this year. That's big because it just requires a lot of discipline,
Yeah.
and it's something that I can't sort of ever let drop.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I really like that goal a lot, actually.
yeah, I think it's because I've gotten to a point where, when I first graduated out of college and for the first few years out of college, it always felt like I needed to keep up with the Joneses. Other people are buying this, so I gotta buy this. Other people are going to this place, so I gotta go to this place. And then you realize nobody cares about what you're doing with your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you meet up with friends, you're never like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, what do I gotta do that you're doing?" It's like, nah. If your friends are doing well, you're happy for your friends. And if they're not doing well, then you're trying to figure out what you can do to help them. But
Yeah.
although no one's ever like, oh, like Sandy just did this or Reza just did this, so I have to be doing that. It's like, nah, like we're all grown ups at this point. You gotta live your life to meet the obligations and standards that you set for yourself, not what everyone else has set for yourself. And I think that does take time to after living to get to that point. At least it did for me.
Yeah. No, I feel
So
you.
so yeah. So being fiscally and financially responsible this year. I'm hoping I can do. I don't. I mean, I'm looking at my closet right now, and it's like, you know what, dude, you don't you don't need new clothes. You got all the clothes you need, and so I've definitely sort
Yeah.
of curtailed that back. I will be buying a new suit come fall. because my friends are getting married. My really close friends are getting married, and you gotta look good for that. Gotta look good for that. So that's okay. But otherwise, I'm really gonna start, keeping the foot off the gas a little bit.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
that's
Sounds good.
that's the first New Year's resolution. The second New Year's resolution is to continue eating well, eating healthy, working out, and trying to get my BMI and my body fat down to a very particular percentage. If I can theoretically get my body fat percentage down to like I want to say like sub 15%, like to around 12%, God forbid, not God forbid, but like God willing 10%, that'd be ridiculous. And I'm not just throwing these numbers out, but it'd be really awesome to, again, similar to the previous one, just utilize that patience, right? To realize that none of this is going to be achieved in a day, a week, or a month. It's going to require a lot of dedication, and it's going to require a lot of just concentration and fortitude to get to that. And if I can prove to myself that I can do it, then that'll be another huge win.
Hmm.
Um, and the last but not least, I guess, is just exercise more patience with people. Um, I think the main theme between all of my New Year's resolutions is patience. Patience in all aspects of my life. I've always been someone who rushed into things, who wanted things to always move really fast, and I'm realizing that fast doesn't always correlate with good. Fast can be messy, and I need to start thinking, like, I need to start measuring twice and cutting once a little bit more instead of just measuring once, cutting it, and being fine with whatever the results are. Sort of being
Yeah.
more concrete with what the results that I want are, and then making sure that my actions follow up and help me reach those goals. Those are the three major New Year's resolutions that I have for 2016, which is a lot. I think it's 300% more than what I had last year.
No, yours last year. Yours last year. You at least had the one where you wanted to drink more, but I
I
kind of feel like you
do, and
failed on
you know
that
what?
one.
I gotta put that on here too this year. I do want to drink more. And for those that don't know, I don't drink as much as I used to. But some people would argue that I don't drink at all anymore. Um, they wouldn't be wrong. It's just a lot of my friends are really avid wine, beer, spirits drinkers, and it's just tough when everyone else is drinking and you're the only one sober in the room. Now, granted, we all have our own vices, um, and we abuse those vices just as hard as our friends do with alcohol. But it'd be nice to appreciate wine or scotch and sort of, hope that drinking more will grow some hairs on my chest and help me become a true adult. Um, it's always interesting when you look at people who like drink wine and they're smelling it and they're smelling all these flavors and they're drinking it and they're breaking it down to individual ingredients. I always thought that was really cool. Or someone who can just drink a scotch neat and just nurse it and not feel the need to rush anything. I think there's really something really stoic and something really honorable and something like that. But then to me, the question is, am I doing it because I enjoy it or am I doing it because I'm a poser and I think it looks cool? Because then it's not worth really going after. But the jokey slash semi serious, I guess, additional New Year's resolution would be to drink more, which is a funny one because most people are trying to drink less. So
Yeah.
if you know anybody with my blood type and my liver type that wants a brand new liver, clean, like this, my liver is clean. I will gladly take a liver with like 40,000 miles on it. As if maybe it's 40,000, not liters of alcohol, because then your liver would be toast. But like I think that's a solid used car, right? 40,000 miles.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
So what about you? Do you have anything? Now I know we talked about it right before the break, but is there anything that you want to reiterate for 2016? Any big things you're looking to?
So the big one for me is make a lot of progress on my PhD thesis, and I mean, essentially finish it up, really. Um, because this time next year, I hope to just be in the final stages of my writing and preparing to actually do my public defense and my PhD. So that's like the big one for me. Um, and I think I can hit that. It's a bit of a stretch, but if, so long as I make a significant amount of progress on it, that'd be great. Additionally, I also want to, you know, make strides in planning my wedding. Um, Lena, I know Lena's been a bit, annoyed or upset or whatever it would be because I can't give her a concrete date or anything because I want to be able to I want to be done with my PhD before I get married. Um, the reason being that I hope that when I want when I finish my PhD to just or when I want to get married, I want that to just be my thing. Um, I don't want to have to sit there and worry about the PhD. And when I'm working on my PhD thesis, I also don't want to have to be trying to plan a wedding at the same time and slow everything down on both ends because I can't dedicate enough time to either. So um, I'm thinking that we should be able to get married in the spring of 2017, which will be, maybe just a couple of months after. I think that I should be able to finish my PhD, but I think it should work out fine. Um, Then there's always the one where you want to work out more. I haven't been as aggressive in my workouts and like dieting as I could be, um, but I've been a bit
Mm-hmm.
okay with that as well. Over the last couple of months, so I have put on some weight. After I got back from Seattle, like when I was in Seattle, I definitely lost a good bit of weight, and I put back some of it. So I need to get back into the gym, take that off, and then um, overall, my goal is really just to is to just continue living a healthy lifestyle. I don't feel like I'm too out of shape, but I definitely feel like I could be a lot more fit. Um, so as long as I can make some progress and get into the gym and do that, I'd be really happy. And in order to help with that, actually, Lena was kind enough for one of my Christmas gifts. I can't remember if I talked about this last week, so you have to remind me if I did. But one of the gifts that she got me was a year-long membership to Planet Fitness, which is the gym that she goes to. Um,
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
I already have a membership to a gym that's local to me, like 5 minutes from me. But whenever I go to her place, like if sometimes I'll want to go to the gym, but then I kind of want to hang out with her. We haven't like hung out in a couple of days, so I'll go to her place and then I'll kind of skip the gym instead, right? Um, so what this will do is allow for me to go over to her place, and then we could both just go to the gym together. So neither of us have to miss the gym. We can both still spend time together, and then head back to her place, eat dinner, and then I can head home after that. Um, so I think it'll be really good because we'll both be able to motivate one another to go. Um, I'll be able to go on the days that I go to her house and not have to try to plan around it or schedule around because the way I had done things in the past is kind of make Tuesdays, Thursdays a gym day, and then maybe like Saturday or Sunday a gym day as well. Um, but I would have also liked to have had a day where I do like just cardio or something like that. Have a maybe a lighter lifting day in the gym, but still add like a fourth day in there. And this is like a perfect world because while I'm saying 3 or 4 days, I haven't really been going 3 days a week in about I don't know a month or two since things got busy with for me at school. Um, so I think that should be really I think that should be a really good gift, or it is a really good gift, and I think it should be very doable for me to like get into the gym more, eat better, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think it'll be about managing the expectations and the goals that we set
Mm,
for for the year and breaking it out into manageable chunks because if you and I set our 2016 like January goal
yeah,
as a step to our overall 2016 goal and we both reach that and sort of motivate each other to do that, I think we're going to be able to see massive results in 2016.
yeah, definitely, yeah,
So maybe that's something that we do. Like if we make it public on the podcast,
yeah,
and people can sort of there's that extra pressure, right? People will hold us to it because they'll say, "Hey, did you guys talk about that?" Sort of like what Bill Burr did with his workout. Yeah,
yeah. What was he? Lose
maybe
three
that's something that
pounds
we
every
we
week,
think
something
about.
like that. Yeah.
3 pounds every week. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously also a bigger guy, and his lifestyle was a lot unhealthier than ours at the time. But maybe if we set some modest goals, it'll be a better way for us to reach said goals, and then to see the changes that we want to have or experience in our life.
For sure. I agree with you. Yeah. Um,
Maybe that's it.
yeah. Yeah. Definitely keep each other updated. Yeah. I
Hmm.
feel like when you publicly post or talk about it, you kind of you don't want to come up short, and at the same time that other person might kind of get on you like, hey, I know you could have done this. I know you could have done better at this. So, what were you doing? Like, why didn't you do it? Laziness isn't a great excuse. So,
I mean, we can even make it interesting. We can make it like if there's like side bets every month or something.
yeah, right.
Not like money, but like something like funny that we have to do.
Yeah,
Um, or something just to keep it interesting and if we both reach our goals, then we're both set.
yeah,
Um, yeah. Well, let's see. We'll figure out a way to figure out some sort of system that we can create, because I think this would be a great idea.
yeah,
Um, Considering we're about to start our first week of January, and I think this would be the perfect time to sort of get going on this kind of stuff.
yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah, well, I think that's it for me for today.
Yeah, I want to say there was something else I was going to ask you about or speak to you about, but I don't really remember. So I will, yeah, I'll just call it here. About to head out and, well, not head out. I'm actually stay in and watch Sicario with my sister. So
Amazing movie. I can't wait to hear what your thoughts are on the movie.
yeah. So all right. Well, I'm Reza.
I'm Sandy.
Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you guys next week.
Take care, guys.